Good morning. It's not morning, but for me, in my clock, in my world, the whole day is morning. So that way I can never ever be late for anything ever. Mm, mm. I'm playing chess, they're playing checkers. But it's how it is. It's how it is. We're not the same. We're different breeds. But what is not the same breed as us is Everton. Everton versus Man United, Man United versus Everton at Old Trafford. And is it warm up for Arsenal? This is warm up for Arsenal. I don't know, but I'll tell you what. From off the back of this Bodo Glimt game, my man's a a captain. Like these guys are just like, yeah, no, we're so going to absolutely rip them to pieces, destroy them, murder them so bad that they'll just cease to exist and shit. And like, brother, chill, chill. This season, pretty much every club has shown the ability to go play super well, super convincing one game, and then literally days later, the very next game, they play like absolute dross. Every team has shown capability of it. So I mean, it just really depends on the sort of team that shows up on the day, I suppose. And it's the same story for us tomorrow against Everton. No, it's at home. Won our last game. Looking a lot more like an Amorim team. Seeing some Amorim ball and seeing what the system's all about, seeing what the team is all about, what some of these players are going to be all about in this system, and of course, where there's some positives, you're inevitably going to get some negatives. We know some of the players aren't going to be fit for this system. Some of them are bums. Some of them got to get rid of. But we knew that already with some of these guys. We knew that already. But focusing on what's positive and what's good with this team, there's players that I can see that have had difficulty since coming to Man United. I think Joshua Zirkzee is probably biggest question mark in terms of team management and rotation for this game, because Hoyland, having started the game against Bodo Glimt, played 90 minutes, of course scoring a brace. I think if not for some certain players yesterday, and not really having their shooting boots on, we could have scored a whole heck of a lot more. A whole heck of a lot more goals. Um, yeah, not last night, but on Thursday night. And I think with Everton, hopefully we see more of a case that these players find a bit of a cutting edge with the finishing, because they're doing a lot. They're doing a fair bit of work to get into good positions and create some big chances, but not really the final, the golden touch on things to really get the goals, get the ball in the back of the net at the end of the day. But I think what's most important is that we're starting to see a team create the chances in the image of a system, right? And starting to understand what there is potentially going on there, and with a little bit more time to sort of reflect and then implement, and then the final test again. I think playing games and playing lots of games is going to be beneficial for this team to get to know the system and play the system a lot quicker. The implementation is going to be a lot quicker. So I'm relatively looking forward to what's potentially on the menu for tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, whatever time it is. And ultimately, what I'm looking forward to is to see what sort of a team, what sort of rotation we're looking at, what sort of players Amorim wants to give the chance to, and ultimately see who he backs, potentially who he backs, who he doesn't. I think he's tried to make it a feature that he wants to give as many minutes to as many of the players as possible, just to sort of incorporate the system so that it's not just one group of players get the system, the other group of players not so much. He wants to bring everybody up onto a pedestal at the same time. And I suppose that's dedication to the managerial style that he has in terms of how he manages players, man-to-man management. And I think the players definitely are a big fan of him. They do like how he approaches things. We know that he's not afraid to critique where players struggle. I mean, Rasmus Højlund scored a brace on Thursday night, and the manager's comment said, "Well, actually, I still feels like he's got more that he needs to improve." Fair plays. He does. Højlund does need to improve. He's at that stage of his career where he's not a finished article player. He's got a lot to work on, and Amorim realizes that, but he also knows where he's got to improve. And it's clear to everybody, media, fans, the clarity is there. Oh, this player's great at this, but he struggles with this, right? He needs to work on this, and just ultimately being able to just have that transparency, and players not really feel like they're getting called out at all. So I think it's a nice feature to see that there is an element of a peacekeeping, because I know even though there's some players in that dressing room, I'm just like, I don't really want to see petulance in the dressing room. I don't want to see people get their feelings hurt over something very minuscule or minor. I want stronger characters in there, people that can handle when the kitchen gets hot, right? I want Michelin star chefs in that kitchen. I don't want grass up cooks that come from wherever, and they'll cook it to fuck, right? They'll literally take an egg. You just need to boil it for a minute. Just boil it for a minute. They'll stick it in a deep fat fryer for about an hour. They'll bring it out and just like, see, look at this minute-long boil. Like, what have we been doing for the other 59 minutes then? I want people that understand the assignment, that see the bigger picture, put all the differences aside and focus on just being the best player they can possibly be, and extend the courtesy to everybody across the club. We want to see a togetherness, but the desire to be the best, be better than everybody else. That's the sole aim of Manchester United Football Club at the end of the day. Big up, Fuzzy. You need to rotate like that chicken on the rotisserie, like at the Morrison's deli counter. Absolutely. Or some I love it going into supermarkets and you just see that slowly rotating chicken, sort of herbal chicken. Got to love some herbal chicken. But big ups to Ravi. Good to see you, mate. All is well with you. Amorim is doing what he's doing is trying these players in games, so he knows what he has to work with and what will work, and what he has to do or he has to act going forward. And I suppose you can say that it's a bit of a audition for a lot of these players, because January transfer window is they're about a month away. So anybody that really doesn't use December to step up and find levels, there might be question marks about their future going into the January transfer window. Because I can tell you now, if funds aren't great, and there's big cost cutting exercises going on at a club, people that don't pull their weight, I can tell you right now, Ineos will absolutely be looking at the first chance possible to cut unnecessary spending. And if a player is more or less dead weight, hey, guess what? It's unnecessary spending. Time to cut it. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of it's like the eye of Sauron is watching these players. The eye is watching us. Do you know what? I reckon Ineos should actually do that. Just put the eye of Sauron at one end of Carrington, but overlooks Old Trafford. And it's like anybody that tries to fuck around, they'll find out. FAFO, fuck around and find out. They'll get dragged into the closets in Carrington by a squad of orcs. Amorim is a real winner, no doubt about that. He's got the. I'll tell you what. He's for a manager so early on his in his career. I mean, there are players active that are older than him, but he's out here managing and already having won trophies, already having made or begun a legacy. Um, you sort of have to, you sort of have to grow with your CV. And I feel like Amorim, for what he's done so far, has grown with his CV. He's grown into his CV. He's made it start. He's made it be about success from minute one. So we can't ever doubt the ambition is to win trophies with this manager. We can't doubt that he's got, ways that work to win trophies. It's just all about this team and this club support this manager, give him what he needs, give him the tools he needs to succeed. And I believe that with Ineos having said that, they've talked the talk, right? Ten Hag wasn't their guy. They gave him last chance back in across the summer, and he absolutely flushed it down the drain. Amorim is the first appointment for Ineos' Man United. This is their guy, right? This is what they believe as a very worthy fit. And it's not an appointment. And this is the thing, this appointment of Amorim, they don't look at this and think, we need to I think we need to see this as a chance to progress, right? As a progression manager, like Mikel Arteta, like brought him in without the idea that he was going to be the one that wins Premier League titles or anything. They just stumbled across title challenges. So for me, I feel like with this, they've laid the foundations. They made the mission statement. Like hiring Amorim was because we wanted to get to winning trophies, not to get us most of the way or halfway there. It was to make it all the way. He's won trophies before Man United. Early in his career, he's got the world at his feet. He's come to a massive club. Let's arm him in the best way we can possibly arm him. If they had unlimited funds, I'm sure that they would throw the kitchen sink at this. Absolutely throw the kitchen sink at it. But as we know, funds are not as free. They're not as free as it may be at other clubs. So I think the journey might be a bit more wavy, but I think that as long as the end goal is never lost upon anybody, I think we'll be fine. I think we will be fine. Smash the likes up and subscribe. Big ups, guys. Thank you very much. Please do. A big ups to Teddy. Hi, mate. How are you doing? I'm doing good, Teddy. How's yourself? Hope everything is well with you, mate. And good afternoon, Fuzzy. Big up, buddy. A big ups to you, Stephanie Griffith. It's afternoon for you, Stephanie. It's still morning for me. I still feel like it's morning. I've still got my morning tea here. My morning tea. Not quite as hot as it was earlier, but oh well. 5 likes. Big ups, guys. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Cups and victories. CV. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how it is. That's how it's got to be. Trust me, Fuzz. If he is certified from watching him on and off since 2021 for Sporting, he knows how to turn it around. That's what he's had to do with Sporting. Took him from a place from obscurity, put them into a position of prominence, and now look at the way Sporting fans were treating their manager. They worshipped the guy. The rival fans, Benfica, Sporting, Braga, you name it. All of those fans, they were just like, thank God this guy's gone. Thank God he's left Sporting. Now we can get back to talking about who's going to win, the Premier. I can't remember what the Liga, Portuguese league is called, but the first division, top flight division title. So So yeah, he's sort of been that sort of progression manager for Sporting because it was an idea that they wanted to try and see if he could transform it. He did not just that; he took them all the way to the very top. Right, an established Champions League side, which, by the way, them losing, what was it, 4-5-1 to Arsenal at home, that right there is a hangover. Genuinely a hangover. That Sporting team looked so lost. It's almost like those players were looking over to the touchline hoping to see Amorim there. But he wasn't. He's gone. He's gone, guys. You gotta move on. Sure, maybe Arsenal played relatively well in that game, but Sporting should have been a challenge, and they weren't. They weren't the challenge in the slightest. But yeah, I think Amorim, he's got to do what he did with Sporting. He's got to do that same with United, um, and try and take us all the way, all the way. And all we got to see is the board of Manchester United um, upholds their end of the bargain. You know, keep backing, keep supporting, keep signing in players that he needs and selling the players he doesn't. Anyone doubting Amorim, look at his wiki page. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose in various cases, success can speak for itself. The only thing that I would possibly say about checking Wikipedia pages of a manager, unless he's really astute with success, sometimes the managers can still not be a great fit. I mean, maybe that's what maybe that's the lesson we've learned with Ten Hag. Is even if he does have a very specific way of playing um, at a certain club, maybe it doesn't necessarily translate to another club. With Ruben Amorim, it's like he's got his idea, and I think the biggest mistake, maybe Ten Hag could have made it work if he is absolutely adamant. The way I played with Ajax is the way Man United will play, and there's no give to it. It's my way or the highway. I feel like he may have relinquished too much when he took the job. Amorim's come in, he's just like 3-4-3, can't make any mistake about it. These players have got to, it's a sink or swim for these guys. And a lot of these guys are going to learn, the painful way that life ain't all sunshine and rainbows for you as a player. I mean, we've seen a lot of people questioning, oh, he's going to go back to playing, back four and playing a deeper line. Oh, he's going to do that. A lot of people, not just those that say, oh, I think he's going to do this, but also people that say, well, I'm not comfortable with this. We look like we're going to concede loads of goals. Oh, we've got to change it. He's got to change. He's got to go back. And I'm thinking, at first I was thinking maybe there's a sense of reasoning to that, but then I realised actually, why concede the idea of the way you want to play just to go back to something that even when you go to the alternative, it still lets you down and still fails you? Why not just go balls to the wall with this and just absolutely say, no way, in any shape or form, are we relinquishing the idea of the way Ruben Amorim wants to play? Absolutely not. We are going to absolutely stay on track, on the money with the way Amorim wants to play. It's Amorim's way or no way at all. And I think everybody having to be on the united front with this is going to be important. It's going to be important. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of games where we absolutely see that these players can't handle what Amorim wants. So we're going to see some, I'd imagine, some really bad, shaky, or questionable performances. And I think a lot of rival fans might look at that and think, "Oh yes, let's get stuck into Man United. Let's batter them." Maybe that's the confidence Arsenal fans have, but I think they know full well, get playing Man United done and out the way now, because the next time, if by the time Arsenal come back to play Man United at Old Trafford, it'll probably be a completely different story. Completely different story. We'll be a much more well-versed team in Amorim's 3-4-3. We'll be I'd probably imagine, much more confident team in playing that very specific way. The only question mark I'd have is just with the the politics of the team, like who's playing, who's not. If somebody's really out of form, do they keep getting minutes? Do they get benched? At least for me, it feels like in this era with Amorim at the helm, there's um, a little less. Well, I'd say a little less. There's probably almost next to no way in which players can overrule their bosses, right, or undermine the manager's authority. They could do that before. They absolutely could do it before. I think this time around, it's like the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. The unstoppable force was toxic club culture, was player power, FC. Now you meet the immovable object, an Ineos team of board members that want absolute success for the club, backing their choice of manager, to whom they work together to deliver. It's like one force has to give, but I don't believe that the player power force ultimately is the one to prevail in that sort of power struggle. So if anybody tries it, they're going to find out. They're going to absolutely find out. Thoughts on your attacks now Amorim is here? I think the way in which we're creating chances is a little bit more defined. But for me, it comes down to individuals. I think certain players, think Garnacho, despite scoring his goal against Bodo on Thursday, I feel like he's missing something from his game. He's not really got a consistent threatening end product, and I can see it happening very quickly, where he goes from a player that's highly rated by his by the manager or their coaches or the board, very quickly going from that sort of state of security to this guy. I think he's not got the tools to see this out long term. We may have to cash in on him, and I would be contemplating Garnacho as a fundraising signing, because I don't see where he is right now. I mean, in his early 20s, I don't really see him filling out the rough edges of him as a player. I don't see it. I think if you can sell Garnacho and command a quite a reasonable fee, or an overzealous fee, and you can sell him for that, that's only going to mean good things for the club. It's only going to mean good things for the finances, net profits. We signed Garnacho for a couple 100,000 as the academy prospect, right? As the next big thing, the superstar. But it's not quite chalked up to be that. It's not quite chalked up to be all that. So yeah, I can see it happening. Just the difference from everything being comfortable and Garnacho's counts are very much him being on the chopping block. Um, I think the same thing's really got to happen to Rashford. I mean, against Bodo Glimt, absolutely nothing from Rashford. I think the guy's just washed up and completely in his own head, which is he's got nothing to offer, absolutely nothing to offer. Sooner he is sold, the better, must say. Great managers are also lucky managers. Yeah, you have to make your own luck. You do have to make your own luck at times in football. I mean, Pep Guardiola, all the trophies he's won at some point or stage in the season, Man City made their own luck. You have to be there to do it. Yeah, you have to keep trying. You know, you can be unlucky at times, but you can do all the right things. Just doesn't matter. Just weren't lucky on the day. But you do have to be there to also make it happen. Oh my God, early doors and the Hot Fuzz 44 Britain. There we are again. Oh my God, hot fuzzy redknapp. Look at that. Look at the state of that. I think that forehead's a little bit bigger than mine. I do think that forehead is a little bit bigger than mine. So, single goals for forwards are par score. Need to be a grabbing twos or threes like other forwards. Hope Rasmus Brace means he goes on a goal scoring run. Not just with Rasmus Højlund, but I think we need to see Xerxes find his footing. We need to see Xerxes get into the habit of scoring, which is sort of what perhaps I can see happening with the rotation. How will Amorim handle the rotation? Højlund played 90 minutes against Bodo Glimt. I can't imagine 3 or 4 days later, he's suddenly playing Rasmus Højlund again against Everton with the idea of playing him against Arsenal. I think we'll see Xerxes start again. I think we will. I think maybe between Thursday and tomorrow, there's probably going to be a lot of focus on Xerxes, sort of getting into the gist of things. So I could probably imagine Xerxes will start. Either that, or he may resort to Rashford starting up top again, which I'm sort of leaning more towards giving Xerxes the shot and say, just go out there, focus on, just focus on you, right? Focus on doing the best of your ability. Focus on trying to do the best of your abilities, and don't get any head losses in front of goal. Like, just play as though it's like your training session, right? And maybe there is a shout for this because Everton, Sean Dyche ball, play defensive, physicality in droves on the other team. I think Xerxes is probably, I know Højlund definitely would have ideal physicality, but Xerxes as well for me. He's got the stature. I think we do need to see that a bit of physicality from Xerxes. Not necessarily got the pace, and I know some people might say, "Oh, he hasn't adapted to the pace of the league," and some people may agree with that. But for me, people look at it as to say, "Oh, well, he's too slow." And I'm thinking, well, players like Giroud. I mean, Giroud was mad slow, mad slow. But there was always all the different things that he could always bring to the table. And I think Xerxes, it's not necessarily in Xerxes' case that he is not adapted to the pace of the league. I think it's entirely a factor that he's not got the confidence. And he needs to find that confidence. I think the aim here for Xerxes is not to feel like you're falling behind the league. You're falling behind on on yourself. You're falling behind on your confidence. You need to find that energy and that fire. and really get stuck in and want the fight, want to enjoy the fight. And I think the arm around the shoulder treatment from Amorim, man-to-man management, he's already critiqued where Xerxes is not really seeing the incentive to being in the box. And one of the things we see with Amorim's system, we saw it really on Thursday night, is that there's a bit more desire for a lot more players to be in the box, get in the danger areas and be ready for the delivery. So there's more players in the danger zones that can end up scoring the goals and not just focusing on the striker. We never really saw that under Ten Hag. We never saw players really, root wanting it into the box. Whilst then the play happens around and then the delivery comes in. Like it was a lot more disjointed. The space between the different thirds of the pitch felt like there was absolute acres, just oceans apart. But yeah, for this system, I feel like Xerxes, he does need to have more closer support just to sort of feel like he's not isolated, because when a striker's isolated, the service becomes few and far between. The moments you spend with the ball at your feet, you don't really get to exude much performance out of yourself, right? Because the minutes that you spend in the action areas of the pitch are so diminished, so deteriorated. You want more time with the ball, and I think with Amorim's system, you see the strikers spend more time with the ball, but with a better support structure around them. They need to have more players open to receive the ball, like pass to me. I think again, using more of that sort of target man presence might be important with Xerxes. So I can definitely see him starting, but I don't know whether Rashford ends up taking the mantle for the striker. But I would like to see Xerxes um, be given that sort of responsibility and be told, right, now it's your turn to start. This is, these are my instructions to you. You've worked on this in training. Just don't play inside your own head. Literally, I think maybe you could say that Amorim would like these players to play without the pressure. I think maybe that might be something that's needed for some of these players. Play without the pressure, because whenever you feel pressured, you start to doubt yourself. You start to take a little bit longer. You start to, overthink your delivery, and the execution's not quite there. So I think play without pressure would be my message to Xerxes. Right, play without the pressure, and just go along with the system. The chances will come to you. Make sure you're in the dangerous positions. Be ready to receive the ball. And one thing that I see is that there's a lot more utilization with the wing backs, right? The wider men, the wider players, and getting the option for the crossing delivery sorted out, and crossing from different positions. I think it's important that if that's going to be the case, that you've got your strikers very much getting on the end of your crosses. I suppose Arsenal will be a bit more sort of pointless trying to do crosses, because Raya just literally goes out for everything. Literally everything. Just if there's a ball in the air, he's running towards it. Fuck where it is on the pitch, he's going towards it. But Pickford, I think, holds his line a bit more. And it will just be the straight up fight and battle with the centre back partners. And I think we need to just out muscle a little bit of out muscling, but keep the ball moving, keep working the ball and looking after it. We had really high passing accuracy on Thursday, so I want to see more of the same. High passing accuracy, look like you're looking after the ball, and ultimately just outplay, just pass them off the park. Utilize the crosses, tall target men in the box, inside number 10s to support the striker. Goal threats from all different angles. We want to see these sort of things. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Definitely looking forward to Sunday. Nothing bigger than an owl forehead, brother. This 5 head. It's a 5 head. Hot for Hoffers. Oh no, Dennis Hoffman. He's back again. He's back again. Score predictions for the United game. I went with a 2-0. I went with a 2-0. One thing I will say with Everton that Everton don't have that we saw with Bodo Glimt is Bodo Glimt are really direct. And the thing about Bodo Glimt is their record in Europe is genuinely respectable. Like some of the teams they played in European competitions in the past, and some of the results that they've managed to get. I'm pretty sure it was Bodo Glimt that smashed Jose Mourinho's Roma like 5-1 or something. I'm like, Bodo Glimt against Roma, smashing them 5-1. I mean, what sort of team is this? So, like, they don't pull punches, do Bodo Glimt, and they've got mad pace. So, like some of their players have got some mad pace in their team. Everton, I don't necessarily see them quite as direct. Maybe they'll try to utilise Calvert-Lewin as their target man to sort of allow their team to get up the pitch on transition a little bit more, but I don't necessarily think their transition is quite as high or quite as quick as Bodo's transition is. And they don't necessarily press that much. They prefer holding shape. So I think a win probably most likely, but I'm not looking at this thinking we'll smash them for 5 or 6. Like absolutely not. No, they'll keep things tight and compact. They'll limit the amount of big chances we create, which is why a 2-0 is sort of hoping that there is a bit of a clinical edge, and I'm sort of hoping that maybe Xerxes can be one of those goal scorers if Amorim so chooses to start him. I would play a double pivot of Casemiro and Ugarte, and that's the question mark with the rotation. Like, what does that team look like? Does Ugarte play? Does Casemiro come back into the team? Where does Kobbie Mainoo come in? Is he going to be utilised in one of those two positions, or will he be utilised further forward as one of those supporting tens? Because the guy carries the ball really well, he receives a pass really well. So I think in advanced positions, Kobbie Mainoo's got some qualities that suit the role. He does. He really does have some qualities that suit the role. Turning with the ball, under pressure. He rides challenges. He's got a lot of qualities that make him quite suitable further forward. But again, we don't know what Amorim's master plan will be with Kobbie Mainoo. Maybe Bruno Fernandes plays further back again. I think coming from deeper, Bruno Fernandes, if he's patient and he's not trying to, steal the spotlight, or not trying to do a madness on the ball, or trying to play Hollywood passes, I think there's a lot to offer. I think Fernandes has got a lot to offer in the deeper positions, but my question mark is that defensive cover. Like, he's got to be. I feel like his work rate defensively needs to grow, and he's got to get quicker at supporting Ugarte in the defensive midfield positions when the ball comes back at you. He needs to get back and help defensively. United to either win 2-1 or 3-1. Possibly they'll get a goal. Everton are a threat from corners, and that's kind of that's kind of where they've got to come from. They do have to come from set pieces. I think them, playing open play against Man United is not really going to necessarily, like, they're not necessarily going to be the team to really play us off the park. I don't think they're really a team that plays anybody off the park necessarily, but just making good on their chances. So a part of me sort of hopes that they don't really have that crazy, that sort of crazy clinical, finishing voodoo that seems to happen occasionally. You come up against a team and it literally doesn't matter what sort of a ball that they shoot at the goalkeeper, it goes in, regardless of where it is on the pitch. It's like there is one of the Bodo Glimt finishes, the first goal. Like that first goal was just ridiculous. Like how many times does their player place it top bins like that? Like, there's not really any goalkeepers on the world that save it. Allison wouldn't save that. Courtois wouldn't save that. Donnarumma wouldn't save that. Neuer wouldn't save that. Ederson wouldn't save that. No, nobody. Nobody would save that goal, that first goal against Bodo Glimt. Nobody would have done. That was a ridiculous finish. But yeah, I see this being a more 2-0 2-0 scoreline. I suppose the point of interest is what the bench is going to look like as well, because I suppose if there is, with the substitutions we'll probably see tomorrow, may paint what the first team will look like against Arsenal on Wednesday. I do feel like it's going to be a lot of telltale signs, I think, dependent on who starts tomorrow, plus then who also comes off the bench. I think players that sort of play or come off the bench from about between 60 and 70 minutes, I could probably see them starting against Arsenal. Because I think you want to keep a little bit of match sharpness without sort of playing them for too many minutes. So yeah, I can't imagine players starting will most likely be players that would be benched against Arsenal. But that's just at least my assumption on things. I assume that's probably how Amorim may handle it. But yeah, I think something else that I picked up with what other people have said about Amorim's trainings is that the practical nature with how they go through the training is that he's not like Ten Hag in forcing players to absolutely exert themselves in training, but rather there's various aspects in integrating the system or getting players to understand the system by supposedly walking through the training session or walking through the activities in training, right? Where it's like, I want you to enact what you're meant to do in this situation, in this scenario, but I want you, before you try anything with it, just walk yourself through it physically, so you've got that sort of that muscle memory, a little bit of it, and then apply yourself to it and see what you think, right? And I think that's probably another good way to perhaps avoid meaningless injuries or unnecessary injuries in training. I think you've got to push yourself in training, absolutely, but I think we used to get quite well on the Ten Hag. We did get quite a few injuries from training, so I think this way in managing the training sessions is just a way to keep players mentally checked in with the system and physically available for the system. So trying to provide a balance between really pushing your fitness levels and training, whilst also understanding everything you're doing. I think it's a good balance to have. It seems to be quite favourable, and it should help players in understanding what they're doing. So even if you do get the bozos in the team, even they understand, right? the majority of what their role is in the team. So I think short notice, short term, it's not going to look like it's got the most amazing results. But I think with this, you might have to essentially play the long game with this, just to allow time to wear on these players a bit and to see it sink in a lot more and provide essentially the second naturisms in players, so that this Amorim system is not looking like he's forcing players, into something that they're not adapted to, but rather he says something and the players they execute it like that. Make it look more seamless. And I think there's a big part of me that believes that with a lot of these players in the team, they will make that transition and will do so relatively well. There's still a few standouts that I do want to see sold and replaced, ultimately signed, replace them with other players um, that have it. And I think there's other players we can go out to sign cheaper deals, up and coming talents. I mean, people linking us to Delap from Ipswich. I mean, Delap had an awful game against us, but I think the potential with there is potential there with Delap. So maybe there's something. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there is well and truly something to take chance with in Delap. And if it's a cheap deal, if you can chalk up a cheap deal to bring someone in like a Delap, I'd see a lot of value in that. I would see a lot of value in that. I think there's a lot of people talking about Branthwaite, the defensive target for Branthwaite. Everton, of course, absolutely just like, no, you want Branthwaite. Give us 80, 90, 100 million for Branthwaite. And I'm thinking, there's no legs to this. There's got to be no legs to this. Like, we can't put funds aside for another 80 plus million endeavour on a player that we sort of have to develop a bit more. I think if you want to have players or sign players that we need to develop a little bit or to get potential out of them, we need to look at lesser fees for those players. I know some clubs will sign these development projects as ways of guaranteeing that we have the really top quality players of tomorrow already at the club. But rather than that, we want to spend, if we can afford them, great. If we can't, let's not commit too much money to a project that's a maybe. Right. Lower risk. We need to exert lower risk on the risk signings. But if you got more guarantees, those are the ones. Those sort of more guaranteed signings are the ones that you want to. If you are going to break your bank, go and break your bank on quality as a guarantee. Don't worry about the maybes. Right? Come back to a maybe when there is absolutely no risk or little amount of risk with signing a player, such as you have your team figured out, you've got great quality, it's performing well, there's a prospect at another club that's going for big money, and you think the team's sorted out, now we can take that risk. Now we can take that risk because there's fallback plans if the big money move doesn't work out. That's how I would think about it. But let me know what you guys think about the Amorim integration with how players are progressing. Fuzzy, have you been in touch with Stefan at the United Philosophy? Not seen him in a while. Hope he's okay. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't actually been like around the United Philosophy for a little while, but yeah, from what I see, from what I hear, yeah, sort of sort of disappeared a little bit. From what I've heard is that um, last time I checked is that there's a lot of work that he's having to do, and the time, like there's not really much time in his day when he sort of gets away from other commitments, where he's got the time to really sit down and do a lot of these shows or talk about a lot of these things. Um, so I think there's maybe a case that he's sort of having to take a step back from it all to really focus on other things. So yeah, I would imagine that's probably what's gone on there. But I imagine things are okay with him, but I just don't think he's probably got quite the amount of freedom to just do some of the YouTube stuff as he may have had previously, or maybe just hasn't got quite the energy to do it. Because I know sometimes YouTube can be a bit sort of demoralizing, where it's just like, do I really want to go live? Like, do I want to really go out of my way for this? Like, especially amongst smaller channels where sometimes they start and stop with certain things. I can definitely see that maybe the desire to do it maybe is not quite, or passion for it's not quite as alive perhaps as he would like it to be. So I think it's just a case of giving him a bit of time to just give him a bit of time to figure things out a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure we'll hear I'm sure we'll hear something from him some point soon. That's what I think. Too busy at work. Yeah, yeah. Probably he's a bit too busy at work. But anyways, guys, that's I think that's it from me for today. Um, thank you to everybody for watching. Um, let me know your thoughts and your verdicts on this Everton match tomorrow. What your predictions are, how you think the game's gonna go, and ultimately, what how confident are you guys feeling for Arsenal on Wednesday? Because that's a very big game. I mean, there's a couple of United fans out there that are quite chilled about it. Other United fans bricking it. Other United fans just like, yeah, don't know. But let me know what you guys think with the comment section down below. Make sure as well to smash the likes and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Great show, buddy. Catch you soon. You too, Stephanie. Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat. So thank you once again to everybody that has tuned in, including Hoffman Fuzzy, my 50 faces. My 50 faces. This guy's got so many burner accounts. It's incredible. Like and subscribe. Maybe this is Stefan. maybe he's got so many accounts that he's just making for the sake of it. Like and subscribe. Yes. Thank you very much, people. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably run a match reaction. I think it depends really what time I get off of work. If it's a late finish at work, match reaction may not sort of come until maybe either after Sunday night takeaway or or Monday. But if it's an earlier finish, then I'm sure I should be around to be able to do that match reaction. Just because Sunday night takeaway show at 8 o'clock tomorrow, um, we will be there for it. We will be there for it. So big thank yous to everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your Saturdays. Until then, speak to you all soon.